What does coaching look like in an international context? Hello and welcome to the Boostara Podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara Podcast, we speak to leaders in business and uncover the truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help businesses boost growth, cut costs, and gain better business insights. If you'd like to learn more about how we can help you, type the word growth into the comments below and I'll be sure to reach out. Today, I guess it's we've both got common names, but I would say, but I'm joined by another Johnson, Robin Johnson, the CEO of OvationXL. Hello and welcome, Robin.
Jolly good to see you, James.
A pleasure to have you on, Robin. And I suppose our names our surnames are the same, but where are you calling us from today, Robin?
So I'm right in the middle of central London. I can actually see Nelson on the top of his column from my window.
Oh, wow. Oh, fantastic. Oh, you've conjured up an awesome image. I'm wondering which building, which area. Oh, fantastic. Well, I mean, Robin, for those of our listeners that are not familiar, with yourself, with Ovation XL, could you give us a little bit of an overview, I guess, of, yourself and your journey to where you are today?
Okay. So I began my life in corporate communications and branding, working with some pretty big organizations up and down the UK. Names that you'll have heard of. And in 2000, having never had an approach for somebody wanting to buy us in 18 years, we suddenly had 3 buyers suddenly contacting us within the space of 2 weeks. So I thought it was a message from above, and I decided that was the moment to sell. So we sold out to a PR company, and they were specialists in law firm PR. And after 1 year of agonizing buyout, I decided to quit, retrain as a leadership coach and business mentor, and focus primarily on partners in law firms in the UK.
Mm, Interesting. And I guess your journey is sort of, I suppose everything happens for a reason. We can often say, right? That phrase often gets shot around. But did you see yourself, your prior self? Could you see yourself going in the direction that you have gone
I
in?
guess so. Even in corporate communications, working with CEOs and leaders of large organizations, in a way, one is actually doing coaching and mentoring them. So it
Mm.
wasn't as big a transition as it sounds.
Yeah. I've had quite a few coaches have joined onto the podcast, and we've had the same thing, the same phrase kind of thrown around that in 2025, 2026, anyone can be a coach. And that's often a negative a thing, because in terms of credentials, in terms of experience, accreditation, it's an industry that's kind of unregulated in that sense. How have you seen trends change within the coaching industry
So,
during your time?
so you're absolutely spot on, James. In a way, it's a nightmare industry. And anyone can join. People who are retiring from a profession decide to become a coach. People who are starting out age 16 or 18, and they want to be a coach. So that every person on the planet could actually be a coach.
Hmm.
However, to get to a level where you're really delivering value is not easy. I've actually written a coaching manual that nobody but me reads, which is 1,700 pages long,
Oh.
about coaching leaders. And the issue really is that when people have a problem that they may have had for 20 odd years, it's really difficult to, you can't just give them one idea. It's not going to work. It may work for me, it may work for you, but it's not going to work for everyone. So I like to actually come up with maybe 20 ideas. And people go away saying, I've had this problem for 20 years, but there's no way that I can not solve this problem myself, given that I now have 20 tools that I can mix and match to solve it.
Do you feel that, the way that people approach, clients approach coaching has changed in that way as well?
I think people are extremely careful about spending money in 2026. I think the time it takes to convert a prospect to a live candidate takes longer. One has to be extremely patient and realistic. That not we meet somebody. It may well take 4 months before people sign up and get started, but as soon as they do, it's like a light bulb comes on, and and it's absolutely wonderful. I had somebody last week who just finished their 4 2-hour coaching sessions. Doesn't sound a lot, and they wrote to me and said, "Not only have you changed my business, but you've changed my life."
Oh, wow.
These are profound, heartfelt feedback,
Yeah.
which makes one highly motivated and wants to carry on.
Yeah, that shows, I mean, the true impact that, how meaningful it is to be in the coaching industry, right?
Yeah,
When you're not just impacting the business, which in itself can impact people's lives, but impacting people more, personally,
it's
that's huge.
exactly. When I started out, I was on a coaching training course with 20 people, and I am not kidding, only 2 of us ever got a client,
Oh, wow.
a
Mm,
paid for client. A lot of them were
yeah,
giving coaching for free, but decided it wasn't for them for one reason or another. It's hard. It really is hard. But if you get through that barrier, it is a hugely rewarding experience.
yeah. I'm curious with that because I've never heard anyone talk about coaching from that side of things. Because often we touch upon misconceptions that clients have about coaching, which typically I think most listeners will understand are on the lines of, they want immediate impact. They want, or they believe that they should get immediate impact when
Yeah,
actually it's gradual change. It's the shift. It's not about, or it shouldn't be about telling people exactly
right.
what they can do, but guiding them and helping them discover that clarity for themselves.
Yeah,
But what misconceptions do coaches themselves have about coaching, do you think? I mean, you said it there about, it is easy. I suppose a lot of people think that they can just become a coach and pick up clients. But when you're at that initial stage of becoming a coach, what sort of light bulb moments, I suppose, happen
right.
for
Well,
people?
when one starts out, one assumes that there are going to be repetitive themes cropping up all the time. And I rang my tutor after 2 months saying, I was really surprised that everyone seems to be different.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, having done it for 20 years, I'm still looking for somebody who has the same issues.
Mm.
Everyone has their own strengths, unique track record, aspirations, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. That everyone has their different initial journeys.
They
That's
do.
into coaching,
They
right? And
do.
industry experience.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly that.
we touched upon it in our previous call, Robin, because I was intrigued. Actually, from your LinkedIn profile, that you're coaching in every continent, right? The international kind of exposure that you have, the range of clients that you work with.
Yeah.
So I guess my first question has to be, how is it you've got clients in all continents?
Well,
Is that a byproduct of your previous experience, or is it just the ambition that you've
I,
wanted
I,
to open up
I,
and work with more
I
people?
have to say that most of my experience is serendipitous, almost an impossible word to say. So I have a number of international clients who
Mm,
who came. Uh, a lot of my clients did actually. They were clients from my design and branding and corporate communication side. So 1 or 2 of my clients, I mean, it sounds as though I'm being very arrogant, but people, when I said I'm awfully sorry, but I'm gonna sell the business, they said, well, you must carry on working for us because we don't care what you do, but we want you as part of our setup. which is
Yeah.
really sweet. It's very
Yeah.
nice. And so one or two of my clients remain clients from 20 years ago.
Wow.
And a number of them were international organizations. And of course, if you really focus on delivering results, which is what the only purpose of mentoring is to get the results that the client wants.
Yeah.
If you deliver that, they will then refer you, and that's what's happened. One international client recommended me to another international client,
Mhm.
and on it goes. So it certainly wasn't a plan.
Yeah. So that's what, yeah, and I mean that. I think that's good business in general. Is when you're being recommended, when you are actually delivering on those outcomes, and people are organically recommending you, then that speaks volumes, right? But
Exactly.
I think the very interesting thing that I want to kind of poke into is um, when you're dealing with international clients, people from different cultures, people from different parts of the world, nationalities. Um, I think that takes a certain, I don't want to say skill, but level of maybe understanding,
Mm.
cultural understanding, not just on business practice, but you got the way that people are thinking within different cultural contexts, the way that people work within different cultural contexts. And I guess, what are your insights on I suppose the ease or difficulty of being able to work with a range of different people at an international context?
You would have thought it would be extreme, but I don't think it is as much as people make out. You have to be hugely respectful.
Mm,
I work with people with completely different religions, across the world. I've had people in the middle of a 2-hour expensive, uh, but high value coaching sessions and going down on the floor to pray for 5 minutes.
mm,
You have to be respectful and understanding that that is what people do.
mm,
I've had there are certain countries across the world, no names mentioned, who are much more aggressive than others,
yeah.
whereas the UK tend to be more polite.
Mm,
One hopes. uh, uh, I'm terrible at languages, so although I can get by with a few languages in a very very basic sense, one has to expect that the people are going to be able to have a good grasp of the English language. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
yeah.
But you're right. I've somehow managed to get clients from right across the world in almost every country and every continent, and which has been fascinating and adds an extra dimension to what I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's massively intriguing, and yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. From one of my past experiences from working in an international context, people from all over the world, and we'd have this discussion about should we be a particular way for a particular member of staff, but then the consensus was always people are people,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
people are people are people are people,
yeah,
and then when it came to recruitment, good people know good people,
yeah,
right?
yes,
So it's actually just breaking it back down to, like you said there, as long as we speak a common language
yeah,
and there's no misunderstanding there,
yes,
then is general communication and how we can understand each other, and taking stereotypes and all of those kinds of issues aside, and
yes,
just understanding the person,
yes,
right? And the issue, the thing that's making them hesitate, all of those kinds of things, right?
yes.
It all comes back to just the person,
Which
at the
is
end of
in
the day.
itself is fascinating. In a
Yeah.
way, being a coach, one is sort of nosy. One is, getting inside people's lives. Incidentally, one is primarily talking about bringing on and expanding a business in terms of profitability or
Mm,
career development, so that the person flies through their organization.
mm,
But it's also, if people have got home problems, people, in an extreme case, I have helped prevent people from committing suicide. I
mm,
mean, really terrible things, multiple issues of divorce, terrible things with children. Oh, the list goes on and on. One of the lessons I've learned over the years, and it wasn't this like this at the very beginning, as a mentor, one can never ever express surprise. You hear stories, and you just have to take it in and don't react. You just have to listen and ask questions. Otherwise, you could be perceived as being offended by a situation. As soon as you show offense or disgust, the conversation is going to close down, and you're not going to get the information you need to help that person solve their own problem.
Yeah, yeah. You, I think that's a really great lesson. Never be surprised, right?
Mm.
Because I suppose the amount of situations are completely, unlimited of what ends. There will be still instances, situations that have not cropped up yet in your professional coaching
Yeah,
career.
absolutely.
Will in the next period, right?
Absolutely.
But I guess since you started, have you seen you know, trends, changes in the kinds of areas, the kinds of issues that people most need help with, especially, and we'll move on to AI
Yes. Yeah.
given the changing technological sort of life that we live in.
Well, I think you're right. You're going to come on to AI in a minute, but people are, you know, a lot of people are worried about change. Jobs are not going to disappear completely. We're still going to need human beings,
Mm,
but people are worried about the the expectations of their role in their organization. So, one trend I have seen, particularly in the legal industry, is that partners are technically expert. That's a given. Accountants that come to me are technically expert, but there's more and more pressure on partners to really get to grips with what I call rainmaking, which other people call business development. A lot of lawyers do not like business development, but they are tasked with business development. So, when they're not delivering on business development, the runway is rapidly shortening, and it's a
mm,
problem. And unless they
mm,
get to grips with it, they're going to be out. And so I get
mm,
a lot of people coming to me with my experience of business development, rainmaking, how to negotiate, how to conduct conversations in a new business scenario, which is
mm.
absolutely key going forward.
And would you say that's a byproduct of, I suppose, the way that business has changed with technology and everything's running faster, more efficient?
100%.
You have to pick up more market share
Yeah.
from better business
Yes.
development, and if you're not doing those things
Yes.
properly or efficiently enough, then
Yeah.
that's why your business isn't growing.
And you touched on a point which is absolutely key as well, which is the world is undoubtedly speeding up. And if one doesn't keep up, one is going to go into the slipstream. And as soon as you're in the slipstream, you're finished.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
frightening, you know.
Mm,
However, the youngsters coming on today have tremendous opportunities if they grasp it. And then we come back to education. I'm not a great fan of how some schools are run. Maybe the future is one-on-one and again using AI. So certainly when I was at school, I was consistently in the B set. The people in the A set were geniuses and were able to learn faster than me. But
mm,
almost all of the people in the A set have disappeared altogether. And the people in the B set are often running multi-million pound businesses, which is really interesting.
yeah,
So I suppose we, in the B set, we learn we have to work harder.
yeah, perhaps, right? Yeah. That's the whole analogy of, talent and hard work, right?
Exactly.
It's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, the impact, I literally just had this conversation not that long ago, the impact that actually investing in education, you see the immediate, impact, you can see the immediate impact,
Yes.
but it's compound interest. Whatever you're putting into education now, you really see the results 10, 15, 20 years later,
You
not
really
all of
do.
it straight away.
You really
Uh,
do.
Yeah. And what's scary, I mean, the other saying that we hear is certain percentages, and it's something like 70% of the jobs that our children, either 4-year-old, the job that she will be in when she is older, it doesn't exist yet. We
Spot on.
don't know
I
what the
completely
jobs
agree
are.
with that.
How
Yeah.
do you prepare young people, or even how do you prepare your own business? Even within a business, what's the world going to be like 10 years from now? Are you preparing for that future? What skills do you
Yeah.
need to develop? What mindset do you need to develop in order to be prepared and be
Yeah.
successful at that stage?
In a way, you could say that it comes down to the basic skills of things like maths and English, if you can master that, a lot of the youngsters I come up against, in my work, that I'm not being super critical, but there's a big difference between an average writer and an absolute superlative writer, and of course, by being a superlative writer, you can really take any job.
Yeah.
Again, mathematics is absolutely key in business. And if you have the basics, you can then learn how to very rapidly analyze spreadsheets, and it's going to hold good. And you can help interpret data.
Mm.
Again, is key.
Well, I'll throw a spanner in the works then. How about AI? How do you see AI disrupting that process, right?
Okay, so AI, I am the number one fan of AI. I'm using it. Of course, one has to be extremely careful, but
Mm.
it probably saves half the time that I was spending maybe 2 years ago in research. It gives you a starting point and a
Mm.
structure that you can then go on and make your own. What you don't, I had an interesting story the other day that somebody was advertising for a very senior role, and they had 20 applicants, and 15 of the CVs were almost identical and had been written by
Mm.
AI,
Yeah.
and so they were thrown away. And the
Yeah.
bosses really focused on those who had crafted it themselves. So we have to be careful, because you can see through AI if you're not careful. However,
Mm.
in the next 2 years, I think things are going to get much, much better, and it's going to become more bespoke again. But we're not there yet. I've got clients who are, their telephone is being answered by an agent, an
Yeah.
AI agent, and it's pretty damn good. There's about a second
Mm.
lapse
Yeah.
between asking the question and getting the answer. And for
Mhm.
me, that just is a dead giveaway. But I'm
Mm.
told that within 6 months, that's going to be corrected.
Mm. What do you see? I mean, that's interesting that you say that. I mean, from your own, like if you were calling through to a business or
Yeah.
calling through to the doctor or the dentist, and it
Yes.
was AI, and you're aware that
Mm.
it's an AI voice agent,
Yeah.
does that straight away give you that negative impression?
I think in 6 months' time, you won't know. It's pretty good already. Uh,
Yeah.
you know.
But just
Yeah.
knowing, even if
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
it is pretty good, but it answers and
Yeah.
says, "I'm the AI agent of ABC dentist."
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a bad thing, or it's because
I think.
it's interesting talking to people and
Yeah.
they have this idea of AI is either good or bad,
Yeah.
and if you're using it, oh no, you can't be using it. That's you're almost like cheating in a way. And so, do you see that kind of impression
I
from
think
people?
I think you're right now. I think you and I, when we get these, you can hear it's automated.
Mm.
However, look back 6 months ago, it was terrible. Now
Yeah,
it's bad. It really isn't going to take much longer before it masters the art. I always think of that wonderful story. I think it was Microsoft where they were doing some experiments, and the guy teaching the system knew everything that the machine knew. The computer
yeah,
knew, and
yeah.
one day it said something it had not been taught.
Mm.
And the engineer was so panicked by this, he just turned it off.
Yeah,
I think that's a terrific story and one for the records.
yeah, yeah, and well, and I think we're seeing we're seeing play out in a lot of use cases now as
Yeah.
we, the tools expand.
Mm.
The last time I keep on hearing this number is 40,000 tools. That's probably
Yeah.
ever growing, going up to
It,
50,000, I guess now. And everyone's using these tools,
mhm.
marrying them up in different ways. But there is a level of hallucination that occurs
Yes.
when you think you've set it up correctly, but then errors come through, and that I guess
Mm.
are you seeing or are you getting from clients questions about whether they should use AI for this, shouldn't use AI for this use case, and trying to, I suppose, walk that tightrope of what's okay for them to implement and what's not okay for them to implement. Are you seing that kind of play out?
Undoubtedly. Let me scroll back to last week. I had a client ring up using Teams. Okay, so we're
Mm.
having a Teams call, and he said, "I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to invite 5 different agents to record this call because I want to find out which of these agents works best." So there
Ah,
was me having a one-on-one, but it seemed like a one-on-7 or whatever it was.
yeah, yeah,
And he tested this out, and I think it was 5. It was 4 of them were still very ropey and
yeah.
misinterpreted some of the things that were being discussed, but one of
Mm,
them absolutely got it. So
mm,
I won't use the name of the agent, but it was really interesting that this is clients wanting to experiment, and because I'm their coach and
yep,
mentor, they were very happy to trial me out,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which was terrific.
And that goes probably from your own coaching, and that's something that I've learned over time, and especially in the AI world, in technology, it is about testing.
It is
Right? You've
testing.
got to test, test,
Yeah,
test, and then
yeah,
things aren't necessarily going to work straight away.
yeah.
But as long as you are, I suppose, genuine and good in the way that the problem that you're trying to solve with the technology,
Yes.
eventually you will find a use case. You will find the right the right methodology for bringing in that technology, but it
Perfect.
needs testing.
Yeah.
You don't get anywhere without testing and
And
trying.
if you experiment with one of these agents and it's not working for you, don't give up on it. Just say to yourself, "Not yet." Go
Mm,
back and find out how it's improved in 2 months' time, or 3 months' time, or 4 months' time. These things are developing fast every day.
yeah, yeah. D- as a coach, in the coaching world specifically,
Yes.
how do you see AI having an impact? Because obviously we've heard of it's becoming more mainstream. Um, Coaching bots that people can access, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of coaches have
Yes.
created their sort of AI clone.
Yes.
Give
Right.
easier access for people that maybe can't afford the kind of
Yes.
one
Yes.
mentorship. Yeah, how do you see that playing
So,
out?
so I really do believe that. I mean, as you and I both know, 30 minutes in a studio, or even using your iPhone or whatever you're using, uh, you will be able to create an avatar,
Mm,
and a short amount of voice speak over. It will be able to do coaching without me being here,
yeah.
which is a worrying trend. Uh, uh, but on the other hand, it's going to be so much cheaper.
Mm,
I
mm,
and it will still have all my knowledge.
mm,
It will have my 1,700 pages manual, and unlike me, it will be able to assess all that data in 1 millisecond,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
faster than my brain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. So, is that I mean, do you see that then as like that's coaching collapsing in the future? Is there a need? Is there a use case for the human coach
Well,
if everything can be accessed that easily?
Well, I think the only thing that I'm holding on to tightly is the fact that one does have an immense amount of experience. Me personally, I've got all this content that can be used in an AI form cheaper.
Mm,
In due course. Whether people will pick it up and run with it quickly, I honestly don't know. But it's bound to happen in due course. Some people will still demand person to person. I'm a great fan of person to person. Through COVID, just one interesting fact. During COVID, I had many clients, and only two of them wanted to. Only two of them persisted and said, "Look, we really want to continue to work with you in person." And both of those two gave me COVID. However,
It's a nice gift.
charming, wasn't it? They scroll forward a year, and almost all of those clients who were working with me by teams came back and said, let's go back to in person. So although the future is going to be a hybrid of AI and teams and in person, I think that there's still going to be a role for the human.
Yeah. We have to hope, right? But question mark of what we don't know, right?
Yeah, no,
We can predict and we can see, but
Yeah.
you don't know. We don't have all the answers.
no, we don't.
Curious, Robin. So I asked this question to pretty much everyone that comes onto the podcast. If you could get AI, automation, workflow, technology in general to take one part of your day to day, one part of your business, and it's like you don't have to deal with that anymore. What would have the biggest impact on yourself and your business?
So it's going to be assessment of data. Obviously, in my case, and I know I'm unusual in this, I've got a vast amount of content. The content has been largely written by my clients, so 500 CEOs have inputted into my coaching manual. That's a
Wow.
vast amount of data. It's going to be much quicker for AI to assess and match an issue, a client or a prospect issue, with my vast amount of data far quicker than I can. So it's speeding up the assessment of data and putting it into a usable form that I can then deliver. Also,
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
going to be very much the world of business generation. Uh, I've got a vast amount of data on who my 500 clients have been. The AI is going to be able to match the 500 plus CEOs and managing partners that I've worked with, and identify here are 10,000 more people who would be ideally suited to Robin Johnson of OvationXL.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
absolutely tremendous because, as a humble coach, one spends an awful lot of time, writing blogs and doing articles and, whatever it may be. But really what one wants to be doing is delivering one's mentoring and coaching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's the point of AI that we always kind of go back to, is that it's not supposed to be about replacing people's jobs, making people redundant, and in that way. It's about taking away the repetitive
Yes.
roles, the
Yes.
repetitive actions, and leveraging as all the higher value activities, which in coaching is that one-on-one time you spend on calls with people, right?
Right. Yes.
Actually making a difference, not doing all of the administrative, all of the outreach, all of that side of things, blogs,
100.
personal branding.
Yeah.
It's all important,
Mhm.
but it's not what you became a coach to
No.
to do, right? You
I,
you
I,
became a coach to coach people.
I think there are going to be job losses. There are, we can't deny it. When we all speak to our friends, one of the things we have to get used to is there's a lot of panic and a lot of negativity to do with AI. But
Yeah,
I'm going to flip that and say I think AI is going to be absolutely amazing. We all need to embrace it and really learn about it quickly.
mm,
The jobs are not, or not all jobs are not going to disappear. Some
yeah,
jobs are going to disappear, or some roles are going to disappear, but they're really boring, repetitive jobs. But
mhm,
people in any job have really got to be thinking about how my role is going to change, because every job that exists today is going to change. We're all used to change, but my God, it's really going to speed up. And we
Mm,
really do need to find out more and more about how AI is going to affect my role, your role, everyone's role.
mm,
And
mm,
if we don't keep up with it, we're going to be making ourselves redundant. It's not going to be the
yeah.
boss making us redundant. It's us making ourselves redundant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to stop living like it's 2005
Really,
and
seriously.
understand that it's 2026 or almost into 2030. It's
Yeah, yeah, right.
it's a changing world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's exciting, and
Mm,
and go into it with a feeling of great optimism. Because the things that I did when I started my work were really, really boring, really, really boring. When I left college, in fact, the first job that I took on, for the first 3 weeks, I prayed I would be sacked. When 3 weeks was up, I was sacked. It was the happiest day of my life. And then I moved on to something much more interesting. Maybe that's the analogy. Don't get stuck in a boring job that's repetitive, repetitive, repetitive. We want to
mm,
get jobs that really start to stretch us and we can contribute real value.
mm, mm. That's, I think, a fantastic lasting message, Robin. I mean,
Mhm.
for yourself and Ovation XL, what do you have coming up in the next kind of period, the next 6 months?
So funnily enough, I've just been appointed a non-executive director of a big law firm, fast expanding law firm. I've
Oh,
been
wow.
coaching the senior people for a while, and it was quite a funny story. The managing partner said to me, "Would you like to join our global growth committee?" And I was so, enthralled with what the meeting had really been about. I didn't actually answer the question. And so I went running off. And the next day, the senior partner was there and said, "If you don't want to be a part of our global growth committee, how about becoming a non-executive director?" And then they said, and I said, "No, well, no, I didn't say no. I'd be happy to do both." So that's what happened.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. So, I mean, yeah, for anyone listening, that might be interested in reaching out to you, Robin. I mean, who ideally, is the best person to reach out to you,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, no, it's always although I've got a few people on my website who do occasional work, most of the mentoring is done by me. So
Mm,
give me a call is the best thing, or set up a call via Calendly, which people can access via my LinkedIn site. If you look at any of my blogs, they end up with my Calendly connection. That's usually the best way. But give me a call. I'd love to speak, and there's no obligation. As you can probably tell, I love helping people. I love
yeah.
supporting people in whatever their issues are, and I love turning problems into solutions.
Yeah, brilliant, amazing. And from this conversation, I think for anyone that's listened up to this point, can fully attest that first statement that that we talked about, that anyone can be a coach, right? But not anyone can remain a coach and deliver impact. And I think
Yeah,
you've genuinely shown yourself to have that capability. And you're not just someone here for the ride, right? You wouldn't have been in coaching for 20 years. So if you are facing issues, I definitely encourage reach out to Robin. And I guess Robin, the best contact details to get you on.
so my email address is robin.johnson@ovationxl.com, and I'm very happy to give my telephone number. It's 07744 15561. Give me a call.
Brilliant, brilliant. I'll put those contact details below. So yeah, absolutely fantastic having you on, Robin. I guess sort of in a brief conclusion, I want to pick up on that last statement that you gave. Actually, I think is really really unique, and I think just so important for people to remember is don't just sit and wait for change to happen and then blame it on everyone else, but actually be proactive in developing yourself and meeting that change head on. And like you said, it's exciting. It's an exciting world that we're living in. And yes, there is going to be disruption, but embrace it and reach into that development, because everyone is going to be affected, right? Everyone is going to be impacted. Not one job is going to be left untouched. And you can look at it as a negative, but if you look at it as a negative, it's always going to be a negative. Look at it as a positive, as we should all things, right? It always depends on our mindset, on how we look at the challenge that's in front of us. Says a lot, right? And in the end, results in it differently for different people, right?
That's it. 100%. Well done,
Brilliant.
James.
Yeah, well, fantastic having you on, Robin. And for everyone listening, please do like and share this podcast episode so we can get it out to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James.
Brilliant.
Yeah, bye.
Stop it.